I'm really excited about today's session because I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes and showing you how our first quarter at Kyvio went and what else we have planned for next quarter, which is actually this quarter. Good. Giselle, Brian, Len, don't see your name, writers, editors, Dory, Rick, good to have you on the call, Steve as well. We have actually quite a lot of people today because there is a lot of active Kyvio community. That's good. So the way we'll structure the session today is I'm going to show you how the first quarter of 2017 went. It says 17, right? Should say 18. So let me go fix that first. Okay, how the first quarter of 2018 went and what we have planned for this quarter and how that impacts you. And after that, we'll do some Q&A. We'll basically answer your questions if you have any about Kyvio, about how to use it, and anything else you want to know. Consider this an ask me anything kind of session, right? I think that's fair. You can ask me anything, I'll answer that for you on the call. And a replay will be sent out only to those people who are on the session, but I am going to put this up on YouTube as well. So if someone wants to check it out organically, they can look at it too. But some of the things that I'll be sharing here, I kind of don't want to give to everyone just because it's, you know, behind the scenes information, as you can expect. So if they're here, great. If you're here, good. If you're not, well, you will now find out. Okay, Len's asking a very tough question. Len saying, where do babies come from? Len, actually, I think I know the answer because I haven't announced it yet, but we're expecting a baby in October. So I can hazard a guess, right? I think it's a toilet seat thing. I don't know. That's what I'm told. Cool. Thank you very much. All right. I think even my team doesn't know, by the way, so they're kind of listening to it at the same time. I appreciate that. I appreciate that from everyone. Thank you very much. Now, literally, just ask me anything about Kyvio, of course, or about marketing, and I'll try and answer all of that. But I have 4 slides worth of content to share with you, and I'm going to go through that. I'll explain each and every point in detail, and then you can see where kind of you're headed in this quarter. All right. So let's talk about the first quarter of 2018. What didn't work in 2018? I won't really go through the achievements or what we did or what we didn't do, but I will tell you what didn't work right, because I think it's as important being in a leadership role to own up to mistakes that we made or things that didn't go right as it is to, you know, take kudos when things do go right. So the very first thing that happened to us, and this was, you know, during the AppSumo launch in January, almost at the end of it, our core developer, so not the lead developer, but the developer who knew the system really well, left. So he got offered a job locally as a CTO, which was kind of a surprise for us because, you know, we discussed it internally and, you know, credit to him, of course, he landed that job, but we didn't think that he would be up for a CTO role. You know, CTO in our company, Stephen, who has about, I think, 10, 13 years of experience, and here's a developer who only had 4, and he got that job, and of course he left. So it was disappointing. It was kind of heartbreaking, but we managed to turn it around. I think I discussed that later on, and I'll show you how we managed to turn that around. But the second thing that didn't go well, and you can put dramatic sound effects here, is that we found that the old code that we had in Kyvio, a lot of it was not really scalable, and it was difficult to improve. Now, let me explain the situation without pointing any fingers, because that's not the intent here. Again, I'm just being open and transparent with you. So, you know, Kyvio comes from InstaSuite. Originally, it was called InstaSuite. And InstaSuite was created by Susanna's team, who, by the way, had great products in InstaMember and InstaBuilder. You know, InstaMember for membership sites, InstaBuilder for landing pages. They were WordPress plugins. They were really good. And the product was made in her vision. We joined in quite late. So the way that product was structured, there was only 1 lead developer and 2 junior developers working on it for close to 15 months. So they worked a lot. They did a lot of things in the platform. But the problem is that when you only have, you know, 1 to 3 people working on a platform, documentation goes out of the window. And that's the problem with many kind of bootstrapped startups, in that they don't really create any documentation. the code is not reusable. And again, I'm telling you these technical things so you understand this, because when you're building a business, it will impact you as well. Whatever you do, you have to think about, can I still use this thing in 6 months, 3 years, 5 years? If you can, keep on doing it. If you feel that that activity is going to be useless in 6 months or 1 year, just either outsource it or don't do it at all. So for me as well, when I'm looking at project management, for my daily tasks, I have to see that, is my task going to have an impact further down the line in 2, 5 years? If it's a yes, I do it. If it's a no, either I give it to someone else or I just don't bother doing it at all. So the code that had been written all that time, while it did everything that it was supposed to do, it was written in a very haphazard way. I mean, think about this for a second, right? You buy a new book to take notes in it. You take notes for like 6 months, and you're like, okay, cool, I learned something new. I'll go back in and add it on that page. And then I learned something new again. I'll go back and add it on that page. Because you haven't actually spaced out your content, you're just kind of squeezing in stuff where you can. And that code can work for some time, but after that, it becomes impossible to change it, right? So we found that out. I mean, Stephen looked at the code in more detail in January, and he was just disappointed. So the code that we had was not scalable. It was good code, but it was just badly put together. It has structural issues, right? Imagine like a Jenga building after, you've been playing on it for half an hour. It was like that. It kind of is okay, but it's not. I'm not saying it's going to fall apart. I mean, it's definitely not that bad, but it's just difficult to improve upon. And since then, we've made announcements in that, yep, we are working on restructuring the Kyvio core, which is the smart products and the smart funnels and smart membership. And then we're doing other things as well around that. So it was bad news, but honestly, the software still works. I mean, we haven't had any issues. And with the changes that we are planning, we think that it's going to be more scalable. I'll give you another example. So platforms like ClickFunnels, they had the page builder framework that was created 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Lead Pages had the page builder created 5 years ago. The further back you go, the more old it gets, the more unflexible or inflexible it gets. So our goal with restructuring a lot of things in terms of the actual code is to make the whole thing more flexible. It's to make the whole thing more modern. I mean, imagine with these changes, imagine the best kind of funnel builder or landing page builder you've used in the last year. Kyvio is going to match that or do even better. That's our goal. So that's our goal with these changes, to not only make the structure better, but while we're doing it, make it more modern. If you're renovating a house, right? If you're renovating a house, you're not just going to relay the foundations and then put the same house on top of it. You're going to change the walls. You're going to put on new wallpaper. You're going to, while you're at it, change the plumbing as well. That's what we are doing. We're not just changing the foundations, but we're also enhancing it so it's better. The third thing is that in this quarter, we had 3 major releases, 1 a month. So I tracked, we had a release in January, February, and March. And that's disappointing to me. Because my goal, it says 2 times a week, it should be 2 times a month. Because my goal and Steven's goal is to do a release every 2 weeks. Because we have sprint sessions that go every 2 weeks. Part of the reason is because since the developer left, we had a lot of organizational chaos. And part of the reason is that because we found this issue with the old code, we just are now working on bigger releases. So every release has been bigger, but I just don't like that frequency. Because to me, a rapidly improving platform should always see stuff happening around the clock and should be stable at the same time. So it is a challenge, but our goal in 2018 quarter 2 is to release things more often. Even if you're working on something bigger, we have a separate team that's working on the Kyvio as it currently exists and making changes to it, making improvements in it. So that's something that didn't go well in Q1, but we hope to change it in Q2. Sergio says no more sound. Can everyone just give me a 1 if you can still hear me all right? Just give me a 1 if I'm coming through fine. Okay, maybe not. Damien, Nicholas, could you just let me know if I'm coming through fine? Could be my internet, maybe? I don't know. All right, let me just check my audio. Okay, perfect. I see all the messages. Good. Sorry. Good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Sergio, try and log out and log back in if you're having a problem with it. And Damien and Nicholas, maybe you can guide Sergio on what to do. Anyway, so those were all the challenges in Q1. And again, I wanted to be open about this because you will face these issues as well in your own business. You're going to have these unexpected things happening, and then you have to adjust to it. Then you have to be flexible and adapt. Then what did actually work for us in Q1? So I'll tell you this up front. For the last, I think it is 7 months or so, Stephen and I are on a bare minimum salary. I'm telling you this because I just want to again reaffirm our goal with this platform. We're not taking like 10 grand every month out of Kyvio. We're taking, I mean, literally less than what is, you know, a fair wage, I would say, in Finland, for example, or even the US, average wage, whatever. Because our goal with Kyvio is to grow it aggressively, to do whatever we can to develop it, to market it, to see a bigger community, to see more people being helped. So whatever we make, we put back everything in. I mean, except for, like I said, some things to pay the mortgage, for me, for Stephen to travel, you know, things like that. Then we had the AppSumo launch in January as well, which went well. I mean, we got, as you can tell, I mean, most of you came from AppSumo. We got a very vibrant community from there. I think what I like the most about that community is how interactive people are and how much they are sharing with others. We had Sam, who made a post, I think earlier this week or early last week, about a certain kind of funnel that he delivered to a client that worked really well. And we had someone else who had generated clients worth $65,000 for, or rather customers worth $65,000 for their client. We had another person who had sold $5,000 worth of courses. I mean, I can tell you, till date, I'm just talking about information products sold via Kyvio. Till date, over $500,000 worth of products have been sold via Kyvio. And that's really, really big. So give yourself a pat on the back if you've made even a single sale. If you've got even a single paid customer via Kyvio, give yourself a pat on the back. And also give me a quick 1 or a yes if you have, because it's always inspiring to us to see people generating results for themselves. It's really funny, but we used to quite aggressively launch on JVZoo, and I might still just for cash flow, because remember, we want to funnel everything back into Kyvio because that's really our only core development product. But previously we focused more on the affiliates, more on the products. Now our focus has shifted to our customers, which is why I'm active in the Facebook group, which is why I'm doing this 100-day YouTube video challenge, to do as much as I can to introduce Kyvio to you and show you how you can use it. So again, yeah, give yourself a pat on the back. If you have been able to use it to generate money, congratulations. Anyone who came via AppSumo or even before or after, welcome. We welcome you with open arms. We have a very active community. Make sure you stay active inside the Facebook group. The third thing that worked well for us in Q1 was that we were able to systemize the development process. And we had 3 new developers who joined us full time. So 1 left, but instead of that, 3 new joined at the same rate. Like each one came in at the same rate. 1 was even higher. So now we're spending even more, but that's okay. That was our goal all along. And now, since Stephen saw all the issues with the code, he has mapped out basically the next 6 months as to what gets done when. Of course, there are going to be delays in timeline. You know, someone falls sick, someone's unavailable, code has unexpected issues, any bug that comes in that the developer has to look, that takes them away from development, which is why we try and help people as much as possible just using the support team, and again, credit to Damien and Nicholas and also Vladimir there. So a lot of our development processes have been systemized. In January, we also started releasing new user interface. It was a little bit chaotic at first, and we still only have 2 out of 6 modules covered, which is quite low, but those are 2 major modules. Now we start working on the UI for email marketing for Smart Mailer. So that should be pretty cool as well. What we need to work on still though is better onboarding. Honestly, our onboarding is terrible. And I'm happy to admit that because we've discovered it and we realized that it should be so much better. By that, I mean, let's say, you probably own a good business and you make money. So you understand the technicalities of using something like Kyvio. They're not many, but you know that you need to log in, you need to look at tutorials and whatnot, right? So what we want to do is we want to have better onboarding inside the tool. And this is something we'll do further down the line once we have achieved the key feature updates. That is, when someone logs in, we'll ask them, what do you want to do today? They can say, I want to build a new funnel, or I want to edit an old funnel, or I want to build a membership site, or I want to send an email. And without being annoying, we'll help them through the process better. So that's onboarding that we have planned. And I'm really excited about that. But again, for that, we first need all the core features to be in place. The last thing that we did well in Q1 was that we updated the knowledge base. So when the new user interface went into production, we were a little bit slow on updating the knowledge base just because we couldn't get everything done in time. But now the funnel builder and the membership builder have complete knowledge bases. Everything's been done. I ran like an 8-week training series starting February all the way till the end of March. And I'm going to repeat that in May and June as well. But the key thing is that we've been able to update knowledge base based on everything that users have been asking us, based on everything that we realize users need. So that's been really good too. I'm really happy that we were able to deliver on that. Then, this is Q1, but let's talk about what's coming in Q2. For the last 9 months, I would say, and this is again slow, and I argue with Stephen about this all the time, but about 11 months ago, we discussed plans for a new module inside of Kyvio. And it was slow to come along because this module that I'll kind of give you a quick demo of that. It's very design heavy. It's very front end heavy, as in you need to drag and drop stuff. And remember, when we bought out Kyvio from Susanna InstaSuite, unfortunately, she, as per agreement, took away the developer that she had. This wasn't even our core developer. This was before that. So we had to find a new team to work on drag and drop stuff. And they are very good. I mean, this product that we have done, because we wanted to keep it a separate product to Kyvio for a long time. But then we realized, okay, there's no point working on 10 different things in 10 different URLs. Let's bring it all together under one roof. So this is something that's coming out soon, I hope. If not this month, early next month. And there's a separate team working on it. So it's not like our current development efforts are, elsewhere. But this is called Smart Funnel Designer. Can I show you this if it's okay? I mean, it is exactly what it sounds like. If you've been struggling with visualizing your funnels, if you've been trying to understand how your funnel will flow, this is something that's going to make it easy. And we'll initially release it to Kyvio customers only at a big discount, because this is going to be monthly, but we're going to find a way to give you a massive discount on it, maybe even one time, so that you can tell us what else you would like to see. It is, from what I've seen, as bug-free as it can be, but we want to know what else you want to add to it. So let me kind of jump in and show you a demo of that. This is the development area. So if you see like some weird URLs, that's why. All right, let's sign in. You can see the structure, the architecture is of Kyvio as well, which is how we have conditioned it. So let's go ahead and create a new funnel. I say funnel, but really it's funnel design, right? So I'll call this, let's say webinar funnel. All right, then what I can do, okay. Again, I'm in the test area, so that's why. But what I can do then is I can drag and drop things. So I can drag and drop this here. This is the webinar registration page. Let's zoom in a little bit. Then after webinar registration page, we want to take people to a thank you page, right? And then we want to take people to a webinar replay page when the webinar replay becomes available. So again, we have to figure out why it's doing this, but let's put it here for now. And I lost it completely. Okay, so then I can connect these, right? So I can, wow, now it's being really strange. That's why I shouldn't show you something which is still in a test area. Okay, but anyway, you can connect these two things there. And then you can also connect this to this and so on. If you want to bring a few emails in, you can do that as well. So let's say if I go to traffic sources, I can say that, okay, I want to drive Facebook ads for this one, right? And then I can also say email traffic. I want to drive email traffic to this one as well, right? So I can essentially visualize an entire funnel by doing this. And again, I'm doing, this arrow shouldn't be behaving like this. So I'll figure out why that is, which is, why we haven't released it, because our team is testing this at the moment. But this is how you can essentially build an entire funnel for yourself. You can, if you choose a page, for example, you will be able to, let's just do this. If you pick a page, you will be able to select what the URL is going to be. And you can do some other things as well. I think Nicholas is saying my screen is freezing. That's probably because I'm showing you kind of like a graphic heavy tool, right? So this is how you can build your entire funnel. You can pick what your thank you page will be. You can set a URL. Eventually, one of the features I'm really excited about building is that once you have this in place, you'll be able to export the whole thing out as tasks to Asana or Trello. So if you're working with a team, if you are the kind of person who needs like some project management in your life, then you'll be able to click a button and export the whole funnel framework to your Asana or Trello, basically allowing you to decide what task will get done when. So if it's a landing page, you can put notes about the landing page. If it's a thank you page, you can put notes about the thank you page, and so on and so forth. So that's something that we will be releasing, like I said, end of this month or beginning of next month, because we're still testing out a few things. We're not done yet. It is, so Dory's asking, is this a new product or being added to Kyvio? Dory, it is a new product, but it is being added to Kyvio. So it's not going to be available to everyone for free, because we spent about $30,000 creating it. So we can't just provide it for free to everyone, but we will be giving it away at a massive discount before we take it to public. That much I can tell you. All right. Again, I'll do a better job at demo when this is more ready. Because right now, Stephen warned me about going in and playing with it. He said it wasn't completely ready. So that's the one thing that I want to tell you about. The second thing is that as I see all the questions coming in about how do I do this and how do I do that inside of Kyvio, I've kind of realized that there are a lot of people who are in our group and on our list that don't completely understand funnels or membership sites, why they're necessary, how to create them, what to create them with, how to bring the content together, and so on. So I'm working on more foundational training on funnels, creating and selling courses, and email marketing. So that's something that I'll be sharing with you partly for free and partly to purchase. So the advanced stuff to purchase, the basic stuff for free. I'll be sharing that with you over the next few months as well. Then one of the key things that we're working on is GDPR compliance. As you know, the deadline for that is now about a month and a half away. So our goal is to make sure that the platform is completely compliant, which means that there's data transparency in place. When people are opting in, they can use a checkbox and they can then opt in. And we'll build it in such a way that if you choose to, you can either activate it for everyone or only for EU and Canadian citizens, or EU and Canadian IP addresses, not citizens. So I did an entire video about it inside of our Kyvio group. I think it was sometime last week. Do go and watch it because it's very informative. And the thing is that it impacts on you as well. It just doesn't impact on us, it impacts on you too, because at the end of the day, you will have your customers using our tool and everything else you use. And honestly, one of the things that we have to do with GDPR is make sure all of our service providers are compliant as well. For example, our hosting should be compliant. If you use Stripe, they should be compliant, PayPal, Facebook, all of these. And if it turns out that any of these is not compliant, we might have to sever a relationship with them and stop using them. That also goes for integrations. So for example, let's say, again, I'm just giving you a hypothetical example here. If it turns out that MailChimp will not be compliant, I mean, I'm sure they will be, but if it turns out that they won't, then we won't use that anymore. And we will have to even put warning for when you are trying to integrate with them. So those are some things that we're going to have to put into action as we move forward. Then Stephen and I are also exploring something new that would make Kyvio far better than our competition. Because I know we get questions from agency users like, hey, my people are saying, Builderall is so cheap, why shouldn't I get that? I mean, we get all sorts of questions around that. Quality aside, there are many reasons why you shouldn't choose some platforms, but when it comes to quality, we want to be better than anyone else out there as well. I mean, that's our goal. That's our mission, so that we can give you the best set of tools for an affordable price. So we have something in the works. And again, I can't reveal that yet because we're still testing, we're still talking to people. But once that happens, we will be head and shoulders above many other tools out there. But I'll just leave it at that, just because I don't have enough information yet. But that's Q2. Now, I want to tell you about key takeaways that Stephen and I had from our meeting. Key takeaways that Stephen and I were able to gather from one of the events we attended recently, and how we're using that to work on Kyvio, and how you can use that as well for your business. So one thing that we didn't have down till now was who do we want to serve and who we do not want to serve. So, I'm quite a people person, Stephen is not, but still we don't really say outright that we don't want to serve people like this or we want to serve people like this. We welcome everyone with open arms. And while that is nice, it doesn't build a strong community. It builds a community, but people are not passionate, people are not engaged if they don't feel like they belong to something specific. So we now have a list of, I think it's 8 things that we absolutely want in people, 12 things we absolutely don't want in people, and we will do everything in our power to attract the kind of customers we want and not attract the other kind. We're not going to say no. We're not going to say, no, you can't buy from us. They can come and interact in the group. That's perfectly fine. But if I'm putting out my kind of agenda. If they don't like it, that's their problem, right? So just to give you an example, and again, this will apply to your community building as well, and you need to think about this very clearly. For me, respect for each other is very important. So if I find that someone comes in and starts bad-mouthing people, I'm just going to kick them out of the group. Simple as that. For me, it's important that we as a management team or our support team shouldn't be harassed. No one should be cursing. So if they do, we're going to kick them out. I don't care if that's some money loss, that's fine. Those are not the kind of people we want. You know, on a more personal level, if they don't care about the environment, we don't want to work with them because, you know, Stephen and I, both of us, feel strongly about the preservation of environment. So I'm sure this is not a discussion that's going to happen in Kyvio, but if it ever comes up and someone says, ooh, climate change is bullshit, well, they can leave the group. I don't care. So it's about creating the kind of community that we want. We have shied away from it because as human beings, we avoid confrontation. As human beings, we don't want to get into a fight. But we've kind of realized that if you don't stand up for something, you don't stand up for anything. So if someone comes in and let's say they're genuinely asking for help, they need some help because they're stuck, we will do everything we can to help them. We will do whatever is possible to make sure that they have everything they need from us. So, you know, things like that. Also, we have about 80% men in our group at the moment, 20% women. We really want to change that. We really want to find a way to attract women entrepreneurs, women business owners into our group. And again, that's just the kind of people we want. We want the kind of people who appreciate that, you know, both genders, sexes, whatever, are equal. If you don't, well, you can leave the group. So those are some things that we are building as our vision, as a statement, and we want to portray that effectively in the group as well. Yep, Giselle says, good, stand firm on your values. Exactly. The second thing is that we are working on branding and trying to appeal to one market at a time. So, you know, this is a problem with an all-in-one tool. And we got this told so many times. So when people were looking to buy Kyvio or even InstaSuite before, they were like, it's an all-in-one tool, which means that nothing is like exceptional. They're all kind of general. And they're partly right. They are. And the problem is that when you do all-in-one, people don't really see the effectiveness immediately. People don't really see how it is useful for them. And again, this is an important thing for you too, because in your business, if you're selling something based on features, you're kind of doing it wrong. Instead, what we should be doing and what you should be doing is appealing to one market at a time. And, you know, we've really thought about it. We have really thought about this. So for example, one market that we want to target is freelancers who already have expertise in certain area, but they're still exchanging time for money. So we want to teach them how to build products and use Kyvio to sell the products. That's one specific segment. I mean, we can even go deeper and go only for writers or ghost writers in the beginning. Another segment that we are considering is work from home moms. You know, how to educate them and bring them into the online world and get them to use Kyvio. Another market that we're considering is, say, bloggers who use Aweber, GetResponse, and, you know, OptimizePress and all these different tools. How to convince them to jump on over to Kyvio and use it to drive more traffic to their blogs. So there are all these different things that we are now working towards, one at a time, which will help us really zone in on our target market. Because it's like this, okay, this is the absolute reality. Not everyone in the world is going to love Kyvio. They just won't. We need to find those that will, and why that is. Which is why we also had a survey last week, and we'll send out a new survey this week that's going to ask people specific questions about Kyvio and about their own business. Because we need to understand who is buying from us. We need to understand how are they using it, right? That's something that's important for you as well. If you have already figured that out in your information marketing business, congratulations. It's a very, very big step forward. And Giselle makes a good point as well. I use my best customer as a model of who I'm talking to in all my marketing and teaching. Giselle, that's awesome, and we're going to do that too. Absolutely. The third thing that Stephen and I agree upon is that we're going to modularize Kyvio. Now, it is exactly what it sounds like. Let's say right now we have 4 operational and 2 kind of dormant modules inside of Kyvio. Altogether 6, 7th one to be added soon, which is the Smart Funnel Designer. So moving forward, what we will do, and again, it's not done yet, it might still take a couple of months to get there or longer, but moving forward, we'll make it so that people can buy just the specific modules of Kyvio if they want. So if they want smart funnels plus smart products, because they go hand in hand, they can buy that. If they want smart membership plus smart products, they can just buy that. If they want smart mailer, they can just go ahead and buy that. Smart affiliates, they can go and buy just that by itself. We're doing it for 2 reasons. Number one, we found that not everyone needs everything all the time, right? If you are married to Get Response, no matter how much I try and convince you, you're not going to use Smart Mailer because you've just been using it for the last 5 years and there's no way I can convince you to move. So you don't need Get Response, but you might still want to sell information products. So instead of tagging a price for, say, $69 a month for the entire thing for the business license, maybe we can make it only $49 a month. Which means that at that price, you get the smart membership plus smart products, nothing else, just that. Of course, if you want to buy everything, there is going to be a discounted price, but it still will not be lower than what it is now. So modularizing Kyvio gives us an opportunity to market each thing differently. Like I said, for a blogger, maybe they care more about funnels and smart products and smart membership. For, say, someone who already has a membership site, maybe they want a good email system. So it gives us an opportunity to give everyone exactly what they want rather than try and give them a whole menu. All right? Cool. Giselle, appreciate that advice as well. Yeah. Then the fourth thing that we are going to do more and more is share more use cases. So, a lot of times I've focused on giving walkthroughs, tutorials, and that's all okay. But most people can figure out the platform by themselves, or they can use the knowledge base. What they can't do is visualize it or see it, how it applies in their business. So that's a big change that we'll be making as well. We'll be working towards creating more use cases. So one person recently posted that they were able to generate $65,000 worth of customers for their client. And I'll take that. I'll do a call with him to basically dissect what he did. I'll share that with everyone. And at the same time, I'm going to turn that into a use case. So how to use Kyvio to generate leads for your clients. And that way, if that's what you want to do as well, you can follow exactly what he did and you can do it yourself too. So that's something that we'll do more inside the group, making engagement there more active. And again, you get all these notifications via emails as well. And the fifth thing that Stephen and I agreed upon was that we're going to use more messenger marketing in our business. Right now, we don't have a messenger list, or we do like of 10 people. We're not really doing anything with it. So that's something we would like to expand upon, but it's not going to happen immediately, unfortunately, because Facebook has put a stop to new messenger chats or something being created because of the whole Cambridge Analytica thing. So that's something that we will look into as well in this quarter, but slowly as we get there. Those are our key focus things. I mean, there are a lot of other smaller things that will go into the picture too, but hopefully this gives you a good idea on what we're planning and what you can expect out of Kyvio in the coming months. But like I said, ask me anything. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer them for you. If not, we can move to the second part of this session. All right, I'll wait a couple of minutes for more questions. In the meantime, I will keep on talking. Robert, can you give us a quick review of what is required to be GDPR compliant? Robert, absolutely. Let me open up Notepad so I can kind of write things as well, so you can see them as I'm writing it for you. There is a video, and we are converting the video into a blog article, just so that everyone can kind of access it further down the line as well. So one of the key things that GDPR requires is data transparency, right? The entire concept is based on data transparency. So you need to make sure, let's say if you have a WordPress website, right? You need to make sure that if someone comes in, like if I come in and say, because I live in the EU, if I go to your website, I should be able to ask you and say, hey, Robert, what data of mine do you have on file? Can you show me? And you have 28 days to fulfill that request. 28 days. So you have to make sure that if you're tracking their IP address, their email address, their buying habits, whatever it is you're tracking, you're able to show them everything. If you can't, there's a problem. So the first thing is data transparency, key thing. The second key thing is opt-in confirmation. This is not just double confirm, double opt-in thing that you can do right now. What you need to do is if you're building a list, you need to have a checkbox before people submit. You can't have the checkbox automatically active. So you need to have a checkbox that people click and then they press submit. If they don't click the checkbox, the submit button will not work. And when they click the submit button, you will record, or in our case, we will record for you. What's their IP address? When did they click submit? Did they click on the checkbox or not? So on and so forth. So opt-in confirmation. Same with buyer. When someone's buying, if you want to send them a marketing message, I'm not talking about updates about the product. If you want to send them a marketing message, you quite often see that there are websites that say, tick the box if you agree to receive marketing messages from us once in a while. You have to provide that as well to people. The next thing you want to do is update your privacy policies. So right now, most of the privacy policies that exist are not ready for GDPR changes that are coming in. You need to improve your privacy policies, and you need to make sure that people who browse your website understand, what their rights are, essentially, and what kind of data you're collecting on them. Same way, you need to have what is known as cookie consent. So you've probably seen those annoying things that, I think maybe I can even show it to you now. If I go there, maybe it will bring up, maybe not. Oh yeah, there you go. That is the annoying thing. So cookies on the BBC website. The BBC has updated its cookie policy. We use cookies to ensure blah, 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 blah. So you need to have this kind of on your pages as well. I'll just click on continue, or I can click on change settings, and I can look at what all of this is. All right. So this is something you will have to arrange for as well. That's important too. So those are the few changes that I think, at least the 5 key changes that will impact everyone. There's a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, additional things that I can tell you are, for example, let's say you use Amazon, you use PayPal. I mean, you even use a JVZoo product or a product you purchase from AppSumo, whatever. You have to make sure that they're also compliant, because if they're not, in an ideal world, you should stop using them. But you don't have to. Like, I honestly, and I guess my personal opinion, it's not legal advice, I don't think they will start finding people immediately. I don't think for the first 6 months anything's going to happen to the small people, to small business folks less than $1 million a year, or even 5 million a year, because they have bigger fish to fry. And even then, from what I understand about EU, they're not really looking to collect fines from people. Okay? They're not looking to collect money from people. Instead, what they're trying to do is they are trying to make sure that there is data transparency. They're trying to make sure that their citizens' data is valued. It's not being misused. For that reason, it is important that you make sure that all the data compliance is in place. Eventually, if you don't do it on the 26th of May, it's okay. The sky is not going to fall. It's fine. But you do need to make sure that you work towards it. That's what the EU wants. They don't, like I said, they don't want to come to your door asking you for money if your website isn't compliant. But they just want to educate you that user privacy is important. Because obviously Facebook doesn't care. Google hasn't cared. So now they're trying to implement a rule for everyone. I hope that helps, Robert. Let me know if it doesn't. Okay. A thought that comes up for me is having some kind of mind maps for creating funnel. Is that something you have or you're working on so we don't screw things up? What do you mean mind maps for funnel? Like this is the funnel architecture that I was showing you earlier. So this is something that you will be able to use again if you get the Smart Funnel Designer when we release it to the market. All right. Okay. So then the next thing is, when will you be in a position to give us information relative to the company hosting a platform and the personal data? In France, it is a requirement to mention this information on our websites and web pages. Marie, soon. So, you know, what we will do, great question as well. So what Kyvio will do is that Kyvio will eventually, not now because it's not ready, but when it's ready, Kyvio will ask you to sign a contract or, you know, an agreement. It's not a contract, it's an agreement that you understand that our company is incorporated in Hong Kong, our data is sitting in Germany, our, you know, Amazon S3 data might be around the world. So there might be these different stipulations. We're going to mention all of them in a GDPR compliant form. So you can fill it, you can download it, you can make sure that you know where your data is sitting, you know where we are sitting, you know what your rights are, you know what to do if a customer comes to you and they want to know what's happening with their data. So we'll list everything. We will make it very clear that you're able to basically communicate with your customers. Okay? So we'll give you all the kind of ammunition you need for this. So I hope that's clear. Dory, okay, I want to answer this question for everyone because I know people will ask. So Dory's asking, and quite fairly so, I got the lifetime special this past November. It was $5.99 then. You mentioned upgrades that we'll have to pay for. I thought the $5.99 upgrades will include everything. They will. Dory, these are not upgrades. I mean, these are, I said updates. Please don't misspeak there. I said updates. So if we decide to add a new feature inside the funnel builder, you get it for free, depending on what kind of license you have, because you have the business license, you don't have the pro license. If we decide to add a new feature in the email marketing module, if it's available to your license level, you get it for free. Absolutely. But if you're releasing a new module altogether, no, you don't get that for free. Because we had a choice of releasing this outside of Kyvio as well. I mean, that's what happens with every launch. It becomes a new product. We just didn't want to do that. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean that we can give it away for free. Because this was never promised. This was never agreed upon. So it will be available for fees, but like I said, you can get it if you want or not. If you bought the lifetime license, which was business license, I guess, you know, for, you know, via Zaxa, then you get updates to Funnel Builder, you get updates to email marketing solution, you get updates to membership site, you get the smart products for free because that's something we want everyone to have. You also get updates to Affiliate Center, updates to Blog Center, updates to Support Center. I think that's a pretty good deal. And I'm just kind of clarifying that because we do get this question all the time, and it's a fair question. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand where we're coming from as well.